What's up, YouTube? This is Big Mike. I don't know if I've ever done a video talking about this particular subject. I can't. If I haven't, I can't believe I've gone this long without bringing this up. And that's the big mystery that so many MJ fans ponder. And that's what if the Portland Trailblazers, instead of drafting Sam Bowie in 1984, drafted Michael Jordan? And I always wondered that myself, and there's no clear definitive answer as to what would have happened. I do think that the history of the Portland Trailblazers would have been vastly different. I don't know whether Michael would have won 6 championships. I don't know how that would have worked out. But this is what I think, right? Back then, Jordan was seen as a guy who was going to be a very good player. But to most observers, and I use this as a comparison, I think that he was seen as a guy who might have been something like a Jerry Stackhouse or a better version of Michael Finley, but he only to keen and close-up observers did they see the greatness that was in him. You know, his ability to score individually so easily and effortlessly. Those who saw him in North Carolina knew it. Those who saw him up close in the Olympics in '84 saw it, as did Bobby Knight. And he encouraged Portland Trailblazers insiders to draft Jordan because he saw how great he was. Portland didn't know this, and they were trying to replace Bill Walton. But I sometimes wonder if some Portland Trailblazer scout had seen Jordan in the Olympics or whatever and watched him in college and came to the head of the Trailblazers, whoever was involved in the day-to-day personnel decisions, whether it's the general manager or whatever. Listen, boss, you got to get this Jordan guy. He's incredible. You know we're committed to getting Sam Bowie. You got to listen to me, Chief. Michael Jordan is freaking incredible. This guy, we got to get him. If we're able to get him in the draft, by golly, we've got to pick him. All right, Stevenson. We'll take this chance on Jordan, but if he doesn't pan out, it's your ass. Some situation like that, right? But this is what I think, right? I think initially they wouldn't have been a championship caliber team for obvious reasons. It would have been a tremendously entertaining backcourt. Actually, I think that Jordan would have played point guard initially, but I think that he would eventually have been moved. I think he would have replaced Jim Paxson in the rotation. I think Jordan would play point guard at first. Drexler would have played shooting guard, but I think eventually what would have happened is that Drexler was a slightly bigger guy. I think Drexler was 6'7", 210 when he was drafted. Jordan was 6'5", 6'6", 190. Yeah, I think Jordan would have played point guard. Drexler would have played shooting guard. It would have been a very entertaining backcourt. Their weakness would have been their front court. They probably would have been something like a 47-35 team for a couple of years. We got to factor in that you expect Jordan to still have the foot injury to happen. But then again, they wouldn't have had the same schedule. I don't know. Let's just say the foot injury never happens in 85, 86. Because I firmly believe, I think in those 2 games before Jordan went down that foot injury, he scored, 33 and 29 points. He probably would have won the scoring title that year too. But this is a different situation. I think what would have happened is the acquisition of Terry Porter would have probably pushed Jordan to the shooting guard, Drexler to the 3. I don't know what would have happened with maybe you put Jerome Kersey to the 4, but then they had Maurice Lucas though. Maybe Lucas comes off the bench. I don't know. They'll find something. I know. Then later on they had Kevin Duckworth. Not a great big man by any means, but he was effective. Okay, when he had his weight under control and all that. He was okay in effect. Okay, this is what I think. Then later on, they got Kiki Vandeweghe. They had some other personnel on the team. They ended up becoming a rather talented team. I think by 88, I think that they would have been rivaling the Lakers for Western Conference supremacy. I don't know if they would be able to beat the Lakers, but because I still think they're weak up front, but I think Kareem has slowed down enough at that point so that his dominance in that position would have been neutralized enough. I think that the backcourt of Terry Porter, Michael Jordan would have given the Lakers absolute fits. And I think at that time, Drexler would have been outplaying James Worthy. I think that would have been the matchup. Whoever wins that matchup might determine the series. I think that Drexler, Jordan, and Porter, their athleticism would have been too much for the Lakers. And I think they would have upset the Lakers in the Western Conference 4-3 or 4-2 or something like that. And I think in the finals they would have played the Pistons. And I don't know how that would have ended up. But I do think they would have ended up going to the finals a couple times. I think they would have won a title sometime. I don't know whether it would have been 88. I think between 88 and 92, they would have won at least a couple of championships. Now, when Drexler goes down with the knee injury, he declines a little bit as a player. I don't know what happens because Michael ends up becoming a legendary player during the 1990s. He's the GOAT. Ultimately, they would have built around it. They would have had Drexler in a much more reduced role, perhaps, but he still was an effective player all the way into the mid-1990s. They had Clifford Robertson. I think this team, and also with Jordan, you think that would have attracted more people to want to play there. I'm trying to think of the different players that played there over the years into that time period. Jordan retires in 98. You think of all the players that have come to Portland at that time, Rasheed Wallace. I see that team still winning a couple of championships. I can't put a number on it, but it's still a lot of championships, okay? I think they would have had more final appearances than just 6. That's just me. I think they would have had like maybe at least 8 final appearances. I don't know if Jordan wins 6 championships, though, because the Western Conference was very competitive at that particular time. No, I take that back. The NBA overall, I don't know whether... You know what? I take that back. I take that back about having more final appearances. I can't say they would have had 8 because the Western Conference was more competitive. But I do think that Jordan would have won multiple championships. I think that he still would have been an effective player, but with that much talent on one particular team, I don't think he averages 30 points per game. For his career, I think he averages more around the 24, 25 points per game. I think he would have been even more efficient player, though. Already he was efficient, shooting 49.7% for his career. I think he would have shot more in the 52 to 53% range for his career because you just have so many different weapons out there. It's hard to say how dominant that team would have been, though, man. I'm trying to be conservative and say that Jordan would have won at least 3 championships. Maybe they would have made like 4 or 5 final appearances, but you already had a franchise that was very talented, but they never lived up to the expectations in so many different ways. Like, can you imagine Portland in 90 against the Pistons, but with Michael Jordan on their team? Don't you think there'd be enough to push them over the edge? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to say best case scenario, this team makes 8 final appearances and Jordan and company wins 6, 7 championships. I mean, greatness is just greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, but tell me what you guys think, man, because this is one of the most intriguing what ifs that I can think of. I don't know. And for some reason, I think Jordan would play longer. I don't know whether he. Also, do you think that he would have been as big a star as he was with the Bulls? Like I said, we'd have had more help. He wouldn't have been just shooting the ball. I mean, he would have probably, with these guys, he probably would have taken 18, 19 shots a game as opposed to 22, 23, 24 plus shots per game. But I don't know. There's just a lot of what ifs. But tell me what you think would have happened, man.